Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and this is a space where women who value achievement, success, accomplishment, and wealth, but also crave happiness, love, joy, and deep fulfillment come to remember that we get to have both. Not by doing more, but by being more of who we truly are. In this show, we explore identity, energy, alignment, and embodiment because you didn't come here to follow someone else's rules. You came to right your own. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Gillen, and today I have a very important question for you. What if what you've been chasing is happiness? What if what you have been chasing is a life that you're fucking obsessed with? What if you have been chasing is feeling like you're good enough and smart enough and you're loved and you're chosen and you're incredible, and you have been chasing that through the world's version of success? You've been chasing it through money, through accolades, through awards, through corner offices, through accolades, and all these different ways, thinking that at some point in time, something outside of you was finally going to give you that feeling of happiness, of enoughness, of love, of joy, whatever it feels like to you. What if? This is such a powerful and important conversation because this is a realization that I had, and one that I'm going to be really honest with. I was a little uncomfortable with at first because that just feels so cliche, I just want to be happy, and I think the reason why I judge that so much is because I thought that those things were said by people who weren't ambitious, who weren't smart, who didn't want big things in the world, right? Like people who just wanted to be happy were people who were willing to settle. People who wanted to be happy were people who didn't want big things, who didn't feel in their gut and their soul and their heart that they were called for something incredible. So those people could go be happy with their tiny little lives, and I'm going to go over here and work my motherfucking ass off and make something of myself. Right? Yeah? Sound familiar? Come to find out, at the ripe old age of 42, out of creating all sorts of crazy, weird and wild chaos in my life, what I actually fucking wanted was to be happy. And at first, I'm going to be honest with you, I was really fucking angry when I discovered this because I have, and I've always had, an incredible life. Like I am so fortunate. I am so blessed. I have an incredible relationship with my parents who are still alive, who live around the corner, who hang out with my kids all of the time, right? There's just so many ways. Like I'm not here to tell you a laundry list of all the ways that I'm blessed in life, but I'm just like, they're coming into my body right now. And it's like, I have always had this thing that I have been chasing. And at first I was really fucking angry about that. Listen to me. I have always had that thing that I have been chasing. You have always had that thing that you have been chasing. You have always had your enoughness. You've always had love. You've always had happiness because it's inside of you. It's not something outside of you. It's something inside of you. But you first have to realize that before you can do anything differently. You first have to realize that what you actually want is to be happy. For me, the way that shows up is I say, what I actually want is to have a life that I'm fucking obsessed with. Because to me, that's my version of happy. I want to be obsessed with what I'm doing, with how I spend my time, who I spend my time with the experiences I create. I want to be present in every single moment and love every single ounce of it. And that has nothing to do with the world's version of success. That has nothing to do with money. That has nothing to do with a business. That has nothing to do with a job title. That has nothing to do with any of that. Those things are merely tools, right? The job is a tool to create money to do the things you want to do, right? But we have gotten it all wrong. We think that it's the things outside of us. So I'm going to really break this down for you today and how I realize this and really the whole point of this, right? So again, by the time you're listening to this, it's probably the middle of January. A lot of people have given up on their New Year's resolutions, on their goals. They've slipped right back into their old habits. They've already given up on their workouts. They're no longer following their business plan. They're already fighting with their spouse. They're already eating the food that they promised themselves they wouldn't eat. They're already gossiping about the people they swore they weren't going to gossip about. Right? Like I'm sad, but you know that I'm right. And you even know that I'm right if it's you. And no judgment if it's you because it used to be me, right? By the middle to end of January, every single big goal that I had on Christmas break when I had all that time off to daydream is out the fucking window because I've slipped right back into that identity of woman who struggles, woman who has a hard time, woman who doesn't hit her goals, woman who doesn't work out, woman who doesn't take care of herself, woman who doesn't show up powerfully. And that's where we're at, right? But the reason why I think that this continues to happen is the two things I always come back to, right? Energy and identity. But today I want to talk about what are we even creating, right? Because energy and identity are great, but what the fuck are you creating? Because again, as I've shared with you guys very, very openly, especially a lot in the last podcast, is I have been chasing money for more time than I can count because I thought that money was the key to happiness, right? And I'm also not vilifying money. I'm not saying like, fuck money, I'm going to go be happy. It's the goal is happy and money is a tool that I get to use, right? The goal is happy and business is a tool that I use. The goal is happy and spending time with people I love are ways that I experience that happiness, right? So what we're really And the reason why this comes up is because I know for me and so many of my clients is you're doing everything right. You are doing every single thing in life you were supposed to do, you were told to do, maybe against all odds. I don't know. But you're doing everything right, but it still feels hard. Life still feels heavy. You don't feel happy, right? That heaviness, that hardness that you roll out of bed in the morning, that Groundhog Day feeling that so many of you come to me and talk to me about, it is because you think that the thing outside of you is going to fix that. You think that Groundhog Day feeling, that heavy feeling, that tense feeling, that not enough feeling is going to be solved by something outside of you because you have been chasing success, the world's definition of success. And the world's definition of success, quite frankly, is fucking failing us. And I don't think it's just failing us as women. I think it's failing us as a society, as a population, as a human race, certainly fucking failing our children, but we're not going to talk about that today. But I really want you to think about, like, these are the things, and I just wrote some stuff down that the world defines success by, right? Success is money, obviously, right? Success is prestige, right? Somebody who's looked up to, somebody who's respected, you're prestigious, you're well known, right? Success is security, you're safe, right? Success is respect, people respect you. Success is lifestyle and optics, you live in the neighborhood, you drive the car, you wear the clothes, you have the social media following, right? And this version of success, it really does work on paper. It just doesn't fucking work emotionally, right? It does make sense that if you have all of those things, if you have money, if you have prestige, if you have security, if you have respect, if you have an incredible lifestyle, if your life looks good from the outside, it makes sense that it would feel good. But we have all discovered that that is not motherfucking true, because what actually feels good is to be happy, is to do work you enjoy, to be around people you like, to have incredible experiences. And we have been told that if we just go get the money, then maybe later we'll get that thing. Okay? And so again, I'm not rejecting success by the world's standard. I'm rejecting confusing success with fulfillment. I'm rejecting confusing I have money in the bank as security. I'm rejecting confusing I have a lot of social media follows as a success, right? Fulfillment is something entirely different than a bank balance or Instagram followers or a job title or a house or a car. Fulfillment is the work of the soul, right? All the things that I just talked to you are the work of the body. They're the work of the mind. They're the work of the fucking 3D reality we live in, right? But here's really, really, really important. Something I realize, and I think you're probably realizing this too, because you're here and you're still listening to the show, is that it's not actually the money that you want. It's not actually the external things that you want. You want what you thought that these things would give you. Right? And we say this a lot when it comes to manifestation and intentional reality creation. You're not manifesting money, right? You're manifesting the feeling of abundance, right? So the feeling for a lot of us when it comes with success is safety. Right? Because again, I am safe. If I have a great job, or if I have a thriving business, or if I have enough money in the bank, or if I have a partner who makes a lot of money, I am safe. Right? And so again, we think that chasing the external things is going to create the feeling of safety. A lot of you want freedom. You want control of your time, how you spend it. You want to be able to say yes when you want to say yes. You want to be able to pick up and go on that vacation if you want to go on it. You want to walk into the store and make that purchase if you want to make it, right? What you want is choice. You want choices. You don't want to have to choose what the default is because that's what you have time for, or that's what you can afford, or that's what fits into your house, right? You want choice, right? You want ease. You want life to feel easy. You want life to feel good. You want it to just kind of flow and things to work out for you and have really cool experiences. You want peace. You want to be able to sit down and just feel your life, right? You want enjoyment. You want to enjoy the little moments. You want expansion. You want to experience more, and then you want to experience more, right? That is actually what you want. And the world has taught us that those feelings, safety, freedom, choice, ease, peace, enjoyment, and expansion, are available when you make enough money, you have the right job, you live in the right neighborhood, you drive the right car, your kids play the right sports, they hang out with the right people, you and your husband, whether you like each other or not, you show up somewhat in a certain way. And that is what's supposed to create those feelings, which is actually what leads to so much of the guilt and the shame that we feel when we are successful and not happy, because we have all of those things. And then we think, oh my God, it's me. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. I have every single motherfucking thing I ever said that I wanted, and I'm not happy. Right? And here's the really fucked up part. More never feels like enough. That's another reason why we know that it's not the external things. More never feels like enough. And the reason why is because we have a tendency to change the goalpost pretty frequently. I see this a lot with women, right? We're like, okay, once I have 6 months of savings in the bank, then I'm going to finally quit this job and go do that thing I said that I want to do. But then we get to 6 months and then we're like, maybe it should be 12, because 6 doesn't feel like enough to be safe to quit my job, right? Then we have 12 months and then we're like, wait, But if I leave this job and I become an entrepreneur, or if I change whatever I'm going to change, but I don't know about my retirement. So then I need to make sure my retirement account is at a certain amount. And then, right? And then it's like, but the kids' college funds really need to be funded. And if I take this risk, or I do this thing, or I make this change, I'm not sure. Then the investment accounts, then the just in case money, right? There is no finish line where safety suddenly turns on. There's no dollar amount of which is going to show up and you're like, ta-da! I am safe, right? The goalpost keeps moving because the feeling was never in the bank account in this instance. It was never in the corner office, right? How many of you have said, once I get, once my real estate team is this big, right? Once my business looks like this, once we have X amount of recurring revenue, once I have this corner office, like again, I'm using money as a scorecard because for a lot of successful women, that is actually what we default to, because we're like, if there's just enough money, then I can create everything else. So we wind up lumping everything we want into money because again, money just solves all the world problems. If there's just a pile of it sitting over there, anything that comes up, I can fix it, right? But did you hear what I just said? If there's a pile of money sitting over there, anything that comes up, I can just fix it, right? What kind of energy is that? I got enough money to fix all my problems. That means I have problems. I have an energetic match to problems. Do you see why this chasing of success outside of us is really, really fucking with us, okay? And again, this is once I'll feel safe, I'll relax, I'll enjoy my life, I'll slow down, I'll work less. Right? I'll take care of my body. I'll start moving. I'll work on my marriage. I'll work on myself. I'll finally quit drinking. I'll finally, all the things we told ourselves we were going to do when things slow down once we hit those goals, right? But here's the deal. Most women who have arrived, you and I, we're still anxious. I'm not anymore, but I was, right? When I arrived, I was still anxious, still tensed, still bracing for collapse, waiting for it to all fall apart, waiting for it to all be taken away, waiting for something terrible to happen. Not because I was an ungrateful human, not because you're an ungrateful human, but because happiness doesn't come from acquisition. Because if it did, you would be happy and fulfilled. You would wake up every morning obsessed with your life. And I don't think that you do, or maybe you're obsessed with parts of your life, but not all of it. Because I don't think you would be here if you were living this wild life that you were obsessed with. You wouldn't be listening to this right now. So let's talk about, what do we actually want? Okay. That thing that you've been chasing is happiness. Not in a childish way of like, oh, I got a new toy today. I'm so happy. And then tomorrow I want another toy, right? This is in like this deeply human way. Because when we start to think about, okay, and when we work backwards, you want the money. Okay, you want the money. What are you going to do with the money? Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And most of us, and here's the real fucked up part, guys, we're like, well, the first thing I want to do is I want to pay off all my debt because I have all this debt and it feels like it weighs 800 pounds. So first I got to dig myself out of the hole that I'm in to actually start building a life. What kind of energy is that? The first thing I have to do once I acquire all these things is dig myself out of a hole. I am behind. We are naturally coming from behind energy, right? So the shift on this and the way that I've really been decentering money, we talked a lot about it last week. You guys are going to hear more and more of this on the show as I continue to go on this journey. But for me, when I thought of what is happiness and fulfillment, what am I building? What's the motherfucking point, right? Like, why am I getting out of bed every morning? Why am I working on this? Why am I pouring my energy and my attention into this? Because to me, happiness looks like enjoying my days, actually enjoying what I do every day. They are limited, right? Rumor has it, life is fucking short. I don't believe that to be true, right? We're eternal souls, but this human experience that you're having right now, they tell us average 80 to 100 years, right? Give or take. How many of them do we spend doing shit that we hate at the expense of something outside of us, whether it's money or cars or houses or what other people think, right? To me, happiness feels like feeling safe in your body. That right here, right now, sitting in this moment, I am safe. I have everything that I need. For me, happiness is being present in my life. When I was at the height of my success, I was the least present I had ever been with myself, with my now ended marriage, right? With my children. I was never fucking present. So yeah, there was a pile of cash. There was money coming in faster than I knew what to do with, but I was never present with it. I was always looking out, trying to solve the next problem, trying to keep from losing it, trying to make sure that we can top next month and top next month and top next month. What I really wanted was to feel connected in my relationships. I used to say all the time I didn't have any friends. Well, it was because all the friends were surface level. Because I was surface level. I didn't have a deep relationship with myself. So what I thought I wanted was these really connected relationships with other people. Well, connected relationships with other people come from a connected relationship with yourself. But to me, happiness is now that I have these connected, real, deep relationships in both my romantic relationships, but in my friendships, right? And even with my clients, like we go deep. This is personal work, right? And to me, that is the feeling of happiness. Like really seeing somebody else's soul, really connecting with their dreams in a meaningful way. Like to me, that's the point, right? Happiness looks like feeling proud without pressure, right? Proud of what I created without the pressure to make it bigger next year. Proud of what I created to not rush out and prove that I could do it again. Proud of what I created of not needing to prove to somebody else why it's good enough, right? Let's normalize the goal to be, I want to be fucking happy. For me, it's, I want to be obsessed with my life. Being happy isn't a small goal. It's the most honest goal, because every single thing that you think that you want is outside of you is going to create happiness. Right. And the reason why I think I'm just so rooted in this right now is I've been so rooted in the Create 2026 work for the past, I don't know, 30 days or so, doing it for myself, doing it with my clients, and now doing it in these private sessions, is it's this overwhelming. It was never about the thing, because we always start with, what do you want? Right. What do you want? And most people, I want this and I want this and I want this. Okay, well, why do you want that? Well, half the time, the thing they think they wanted, they don't even actually think that they want. Again, they think, if I want this thing, if I build this thriving business, then I will have enough money to actually start that hobby that I want, or travel more, or then my husband can get the job that he wants, so he doesn't have to work as many hours. So again, the thing that we want is often the thing that we think we have to have in order to create the life that we want. That is absolutely backward when it comes to the energy game, right? So again, when it comes to what we want, most people don't actually want the things that are on their vision board, that are on their goal board, that they say that they want, right? They want the experience of life. And so when we can bypass the things that we think we get to have the experience of life, we realize we're actually much closer to the experience than we thought that we were. It was always about the feeling. And like I said, we have more access to that feeling than we thought, right? So for me, money was my thing. Always very candid about that, right? So for me, what did money mean? Safety, right? If I had enough money, right, I was safe. I was safe. I could handle anything, any problem that came my way. I could solve it because I had the resources in order to solve it, right? But here's the truth of the matter. I had safety in so many ways when I felt like I didn't have money. It's safety and relationships. As I mentioned, I have a great relationship with my parents, right? I have safety and relationships. I have my sister, right? Safety in my relationship with Derek. I've never felt so safe in my life as I am when I'm with that man, right? Like, all the safety in the world. There's not a pile of money that is going to feel the way that it feels when we're together. So I had already had access to that feeling that I thought money was going to give me, but I wasn't accessing that feeling because I was looking for the money, right? Safety in my home, right? I live in an incredible home, in an incredible neighborhood, with neighbors that I like and respect, that look out for one another. There's people down the road that my kids run to their houses. Like, there's so much safety in the community I live in, where my kids go to school. Like, I have safety in that. I feel safe in those choices, right? I feel safe in sharing my heart and sharing my soul, right? Safe in being the source of all of those things. So for me, and also for you, like, so much of what you think you don't have because you think that thing is coming in a package outside of you is actually available now. That feeling of connection that you haven't felt in your relationship in a really long time, maybe it's not in your romantic relationship right now, but you probably have it somewhere, or you could probably access it, right? You can access whatever feeling you want by the story you tell yourself. You can access safety by merely sitting here right now and telling yourself a story about how safe you are and how loved you are and how supported you are and how many resources that you have without changing a single fucking circumstance outside of you. You can create the feeling of safety. Do you think that is by accident? Do you think that God, source, the universe fucked up when they gave us that skill? Right? We gave us that ability. And here's the most important part of this. No matter what you're chasing, whether it's money or a car or a house or a job title or a corner office or a number of clients or recognition or a name on a leaderboard somewhere, right? Whatever you chase runs away. Whatever you think that you don't have, that you have to go find, is running away from you because you continue to perpetuate the feeling. Universal law of attraction, law of vibration. What you attract more of what you feel. When you feel like, I'm sad and I'm mad and I'm frustrated and I'm angry and I'm overwhelmed and I'm stressed and I'm disconnected and I'm lonely and I'm lost and I feel so guilty because I have so much other people don't have, you merely attract more of that. And then you try harder and you double down and you work harder and you go inside even more and you isolate more and you just make the situation worse. Because when you constantly operate from lack, from pressure, from waiting, from proving, you merely recreate it. So when you think about what is happiness, right? When you access gratitude for what you have, even if it's not everything that you want, you have something. If there's food in your fridge, you have something to be grateful for. If you have access to hot water and heat when it's cold and AC when it's hot, when you have a car that can get you from point A to point B, when you have another person who loves you, when you have children, there's so much to be grateful for right now without changing a darn thing. You have access to enjoyment. There's something in your life right now that you can go and do that brings you joy, right? It could be as simple as going for a walk, calling your best friend that you haven't talked to in forever, right? Going and sitting down and actually engaging with your children and having a conversation, planning a date night with your spouse, right? Literally just sitting down and watching your favorite TV show. Like, you can access that feeling right now. right? That feeling of fulfillment that you think is going to come once all the accomplishment happens, you can access that now by learning to fulfill yourself. What does fulfillment even mean? Do you know how many women I talk to when I ask them, what do you do for fun? What does fulfillment even look like to you? Like, when is it enough? You can't answer the question. You haven't even defined it, right? When you access present, actually being right here in the present moment, listening to these words, feeling the way that it's feeling in your body, really contemplating it and being with it and feeling the energy of it and the essence of it, you can access that, right? And when you access those things, you naturally expand. And this isn't magic, guys. This isn't woo. It's alignment. It's energy, right? As long as you need your circumstances to change before you are happy, happiness will always stay out of reach, regardless of what you accomplish, regardless of what you acquire, regardless of how many people follow you or look up to you or respect you or think you have your shit together. If the circumstances have to change for you to access the feeling you want to access, that will always stay out of reach. Happiness is an inside job, and success is a byproduct, not the other way around. So I have some questions for you as I wrap up. Number one being, if you haven't booked your Create 2026 session yet, like, what are you doing with your life? Book the session. It's $197, right? And it will absolutely deepen into this work right now. If this work is resonating with you, if you just the light bulbs are going off and you're like, holy fucking bananas, I have been focused on the wrong thing my entire life, my entire career. I don't care how long that has been. A Create 2026 session is going to get you a big win. It's going to get you a big shift. I promise. Okay. So that's the first question I have for you. But then I want to ask you some other questions, right? What are you actually chasing right now? Like, what do you actually want? What do you actually want? What do you believe will finally make you feel safe or happy or free or give you the choices? Like, what do you believe is actually going to make you feel free enough? Where do you already have access to those feelings? And what would change in your life if happiness was the goal instead of the world's definition of success? What would change if happiness was the goal instead of the world's definition of success? 2026 is the year that we stop fucking chasing outcomes. We stop fucking chasing anything because we quite literally can't chase anything. We can, but it will always be outside of you. Create 2026, this work, this podcast, all of this is about designing a life that feels good to live in, not acquiring things that might make you happy. Design a life that feels good to live in, and then you can choose. I'm not asking you to give up your ambition, your drive, your desires. You know, I have big goals, right? Like, I have huge goals for what I want to create in this life. I really do. This is not about giving those things up. It's about the way that you thought you were going to get them. It's not fucking working. It's not working. I speak from very personal experience. It's not working. And this is your invitation to do it differently. What if we just threw everything we knew out the window and said, I'm going to build a life that I love? And then from there, we focus on our career and our business and our goals. And then from there, we focus on our relationships. And then from there, right? But most of the things that we are trying to accomplish, to do, to force, to effort our way into are things that you think are going to make you feel it. I share this with my children all the time, guys. I've shared this with you dozens of times, if not hundreds, over the past year I've been producing this podcast. If you need the outside world to change for you to feel good, life will continue to feel like it's not enough. It will continue to feel like you're not good enough. And you will continue to be swept up in the idea that it's just in the next milestone, the next promotion, the next dollar amount, the next number of clients, the next, the house, the upgrade in the house or in the cars, right? It's just in now I can afford to be in that mastermind. Now I can afford to be in this room, right? But you've achieved all of those things. And let me ask you, how's that working out for you? What if the goal isn't success by the world's definition? The goal, the intention, the focus, the energy of your life is to be happy, to have fun, to do things you enjoy, to be surrounded by people you love, to be the absolute positive best version of yourself, regardless of what is going on in the outside world. What if? What if? See you next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If this conversation cracked something open for you, trust that that's the work. And share this episode with a woman in your life who's ready to stop performing and start creating. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It helps this message reach the women who need it most. Remember, you're the creator. The rules are yours. And your uncensored self, she already knows what to do. Keep leading, keep listening, keep becoming.